Hi, I'm Councillor Kirk-Robinson. As you can see, I'm here at Checkabout Roundabout near where Bolton Park's golf course and 1,000 plus houses are going to devastate the area. Now, you might remember from recent reports in the paper that the leader of the council, Linda Thomas, a Labour councillor, has said that she missed the fact that Labour have allowed into the spatial framework backing for Bolton Park, which I'm not sure that anyone's quite that bad at their job that they would do that, but there you are. Anyway, I have a motion at council tonight that will create a Bolton-wide housing plan that will save our green belt. Now this was supposed to come up at the end of last year in December, but we ended up having no time for that because the Lib Dems brought a motion about Brexit that took up all of the time. They wanted a second referendum, which of course Bolton Council has no power to grant, yet that's what we had to put a huge amount of time into. So we missed last year, and then after that, Labour have talked out the time because that's the thing they do. They've been asking loads of questions about their own party. Now, I know that there are splits in Labour and they're not talking to each other, but the council meetings are not the time to ask questions. You ask that in the members' room if it's your own party. So we've had time after time where the other parties have just talked out our ability to sort out the protection of our green belt. I have brought this motion again and again and again. It's been talked out. Tonight we are going to actually discuss it. I want to protect our green belt. Let's see if the other parties do too. It's weird that it's this warm. It's like we're still at the start of March. I realise spring is kind of here, but it's not summer yet. I am baking in the sun. It's very strange. We haven't really had a proper winter this year, have we? Let's face it. It's been summer, and then a bit of rain, and then a bit of summer again, for most of the winter. And that worries me, because we really do need some cold snaps, proper cold, to make sure that all the insects that are hibernating don't get out of control, and that the illnesses and germs that always come out in winter, they don't get to take hold and breed like they normally would in hot climates. So it makes me worried. Are we going to end up with a summer that's really, really hot, and yet a lot of people are ill? So that's not good. Anyway, I'm out and about. I've got some newsletters to deliver this early afternoon, and I'm going to get that done, then get back and make sure I've got my speeches ready for tonight, because I have two motions to council, only one of which I think we're going to get to, because Labour have 19 questions in where they're asking other Labour members about how great they've been. Basically, you'd think there's an election on, wouldn't you? So that's what's going to happen now. So we're going to waste at least an hour on that. And we only have 3.5 hours for the meeting. So I don't think our second motion, which is about making sure that people can actually get through town without being caught at every single traffic light, no matter which direction you're going in or which time of day you're at. I wanted to get to that, but I don't think we're going to end up doing that. It's going to be after the election now, the first proper council after the election, which is like June. It's ridiculous how long that's going to have to wait. But it keeps getting pushed back because of these ridiculous time-wasting efforts. So it's not great. They're trying to take the clock out, basically. But my first motion, finally we're getting to do it. This came up in December, and it keeps getting talked out. So we're going to actually have a discussion about the fact that for the last 3 years now, Labour have known that we don't have an adequate housing supply plan. So developers have been able to build whatever they wanted, because they come to planning, we say no, you can't build that, we don't need it. They say, well, you haven't got a housing supply plan, so we can do what we want on appeal it, win, and then build what they want. Labour have known about this for 3 years, because I've known about this for 3 years, and I keep telling them. So I finally got the chance to put towards the council, let's make our own 5-year housing plan, which will be an interim plan to keep us going until the spatial framework arrives, if it arrives. And that's the thing, because I'm fighting against the spatial framework as well at the moment, because it supports Bolton Park. Over 1,000 houses on Bolton Park, we can't have that. So if that gets taken out and the bit about Wingate's industrial estate gets taken out, so that we don't have rampant overdevelopment on our green belt, then maybe we can support this thing. But at the moment I can't. I have to fight and get those things changed. But on the interim, we have no plan unless they support this thing that I've brought forward tonight. So let's hope that they do. Anyway, better get on. Well, that's been a great afternoon, early afternoon anyway. It is now 2 o'clock exactly, so time to head back and get ready to go and do the council stuff tonight. So basically catch up on any emails that have come today while I've been doing the delivering, and then make sure the speeches are ready for tonight. So let's head over. I should probably get changed as well. Let's go and do that. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, our housing plan is out of date. We all know it. It was supposed to be replaced by the spatial framework years ago. Sir? What? Sorry. Are you making a point of order or are you just heckling?
Please allow the lady to speak.
Sorry, you know I'm deaf. If you want to heckle, you've got to speak up. So, the housing plan was supposed to be replaced by the spatial framework years ago, but this has been delayed time and time again. Now it's out for consultation, and current estimates put it as coming into force in late 2020 or early 2021, which is 2 years away. This is far too far in the future as far as our towns and communities are concerned. Almost 3 years ago, this council admitted that it did not have a robust 5-year housing plan. Since the Mill Lane appeal in 2016, where that admission comes from, we have lost appeal after appeal against large housing developments that our towns cannot cope with, and each time the reason has been cited as because we do not have a 5-year housing plan. In West Holton alone, we have had applications to develop on Holton Park, Hall Lee, Hartley's Farm, Roscoe's Farm, and now Roscoe's Farm again. And then there's Boland's Hay and Boland's Hay Phase 2 in West Holton South, because apparently developers like film companies and they just love sequels. We can't keep on going on like this, Madam Mayor. We can't keep facing onslaught after onslaught from greedy developers who want to destroy our green belt. This council has a brownfield sites first policy, and we should be making sure developers stick to it. But we can't enforce that policy without a robust housing plan. Now, I know what the party opposite's going to say about this. They're going to say that the spatial framework will solve all of this, and maybe it will eventually when it arrives. They're going to say that the spatial framework is on its way and we should be onslaught. And moreover, the leader of the council in the Bolton News the other day stated that she didn't even notice that the spatial framework endorsed Holton Park with over 1,000 houses to be built on the green belt. We need a plan, Madam Mayor, and we need it 2 years ago. Housing plans aren't a fire and forget thing, Madam Mayor. They are supposed to be something that you come back to. Councils are expected to keep them up to date and to take account of changes in land use, environment and population. This council hasn't done that. It pinned all of its hopes on the spatial framework and left itself completely open when that inevitably succumbed to delay after delay. So I call on this council to task a policy development group with the creation of a Bolton housing plan. This plan should deliver a viable 5-year housing supply for the borough, a plan that should have been created 2 years ago but was not. A plan that will prevent the continued assault on our green belt by developers chancing their hand until the spatial framework finally arrives. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to start by just reading from the Manchester Evening News where it says, Greater Manchester is not being forced to build on Greenbelt, insists Minister. And that comes from a while back. A lot of what's been said tonight I was expecting, I have to admit, Madam Mayor. The thing from Councillor Chadwick saying that we have to ask developers about where they want to build. Okay, doesn't mean we have to accept that and say, right, well, you've said this, so we're going to let you build there, because we haven't done that in the spatial framework. Councillor Allen is quite right that we have a plan already, and we're not required to go out into that process because we have this plan. And other councils are saying we can update our plans on a rolling basis. So we can do that. We don't have to spend a huge amount of time dealing with, oh, well, we'll have a call for this and we'll need to get signed off for that. We should have been doing this anyway. We should have been doing this almost 3 years ago when we knew that there was a problem, and it hasn't happened. There are a few other things that have been said. I'm not going to take up too much of your time because, quite frankly, a lot of it has been covered already. But thank you, Councillor Donaghy, for admitting once again that we don't have the right numbers for our housing plans, so we don't have what we need, and you're still saying you're not going to support a motion that will sort that out. That's just ridiculous. And I have to admit, I was very shocked with Councillor Wilkinson because he said something that I actually agree with. He said, nobody wanted Andy Burnham as Greater Manchester Mayor. I agree. Nobody wanted Andy Burnham as Greater Manchester Mayor. Unfortunately, we're stuck with him. But what I can't agree with is, Well, perhaps you guys are very happy. But one thing that Councillor Wilkinson said was he wants to try and blame the Conservatives for having Andy Burnham as the mayor. But getting a devolved mayor was Lib Dem policy last time I checked, because the Lib Dems like devolution, and getting a GM mayor was part of the coalition's policies, which means that you guys signed off on it. So you're arguing against yourselves. But at the end of the day, what I've suggested here is not going to take a huge amount of time. It's not going to take all of the issues that you're manufacturing out of whole cloth in order to try and vote. That's going to happen under the GMSF as well, because you haven't provided a solution for that. So let's solve the problem that we actually have and vote for this motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, guys. Unfortunately, Labour, UKIP and the Liberal Democrats all voted against the motion that I brought to Council. This was meant to be a non-partisan motion. I wanted to protect the Green Belt by putting together our own housing plan, and we already have the plan. We just need to update it and make it work. And they said no. They conjured up all kinds of excuses, and none of them stick. None of them are right. But then they voted against it because of these conjured up, made up ideas that it's not going to take years because we've already got the plan, we just need to update it. Other councils in the country do this. They update their plans that they've already got in order to keep going and making sure that they have a 5-year housing supply, which is all the government asks. But no, apparently can't do it in Bolton, can't do it. We'd have to come out of X, Y and Z. Well, we wouldn't. Because this plan is going to get superseded anyway. The point is that it's an interim thing until the spatial framework comes in. And they still went against it. And the Liberal Democrats went with them. So Labour, Liberal Democrats, UKIP, what are you playing at? This was meant to protect the Green Belt. It was meant to protect the people who live in our towns and who just want to be able to get to work without having to set off an hour earlier so that they're stuck in traffic. People want to know that our politicians that we have are protecting them and their interests. And tonight they didn't do that. I'm really disappointed.